Should I hire subcontractors or employees? That's a very good question. In fact, I think all you have to do is ask yourself one question. How much control do you want? Because that's really what it comes down to. When we hire employees, we have total control of the employee. Whereas if we hire a subcontractor, we're pretty limited on the control that we have. We can tell them, that the facility needs to be cleaned between this time and that time, and we can't give them any training, so we lose a lot of control, and which is fine. But in a subcontractor scenario, the other thing that you always want to do is just make sure that they're a legal subcontractor. Because many times what happens is that people misclassify employees as subcontractors, meaning that they're saying that the person's a subcontractor. They hired them as a 1099 employee, but there's no such thing there's no such thing as a 1099 employee. So that's the first thing you have to do, is that if you decide to use a subcontractor model, make sure that you hire legal subcontractors, meaning that somebody already has a cleaning company in place, that's established. They got everything else that they should be checking off the boxes. In fact, you can go to the IRS website, and they actually have a pretty good list of what qualifies as a subcontractor. They should have their own equipment, their own insurance. And that's, like I say, we can't train them. So, ask them about their training program when you do hire a subcontractor. How are they training their people? What kind of training do they get? How long is the training program? So you really want to vet the subcontractors just like you would any applicant that's coming through your hiring process. We have to ask questions. We have to make sure that they qualify to move on to the next step, before we hire them as a subcontractor or as an employee. So, that's the thing. We got to make sure that we do that. Now, with that, you find that some cleaning companies will use a model in which they use both. They use both employees and subcontractors. That's great. So that's the thing is you got to remember is that no one is better than the other. It's just a matter of what your model is, and what works best for you. That's all that matters. So if you're using a mixture of both, you may have a handful of employees, then you may have, quite a few of subcontractors that you're using. And, you have things in place, controls in place. So the subcontractors are, you're making sure that things are getting done. And you may have your own employees going through and doing quality control inspections and other things like that there. Somebody's got to be managing the subcontractors. And essentially that's what you end up doing, is that you're just managing the workers just like you would your employees. But it's a good model. It works well. I know a lot of cleaning companies that use that model, and they use it rather successfully. But again, you just got to decide on which model you want to use, if it's going to be a subcontractor or an employee. The employee, same thing. You got to have systems in place for that. You have to have your hiring system. You have to have your training system in place. And you got to make sure that you're checking all the boxes here when you're hiring an applicant too. The last thing you want to do is you don't want to hire people when you don't have things in place. Such as the company policy manual. You don't have your training in place. Things like that there, because that will come back to bite you in the butt. Because before we hire any employees, let's make sure we have certain systems in place. And obviously, hiring system's one. We need to have a training system in place, and onboarding system. Those are all things that we got to have. And it's very important for us to have a company policy manual. Now, some people you talk to will say, well, no, you don't need a company policy manual. But, I think it's important for us to have rules and regulations of our business that people need to abide by. And that's essentially what a manual is. Because otherwise, how are we able to reprimand somebody for a policy that we don't have documented? pretty hard to do. So that's why I say, yes, have a company policy manual. And, because when somebody doesn't perform to a certain level, or if they were to perform or do something that's in subordination of the company, well, here you got it all documented. They knew that what they were doing, they signed off on it, and it's just a great thing to do. See, now on the flip side, now you can't do that with a subcontractor, but you can still have some rules and regulations in place, such as meeting quality control standards. Because if they're not meeting quality control standards, you just fire them. Unlike an employee, you want to go through a whole process of documentation, that you've talked to them about the incident, you followed up with them, and their performance hasn't improved, so you decide to put them on probation, and then so on and so forth. So it ends up being quite a few steps in order for you to get rid of that employee. And like I say, the key is to document everything. Where on the flip side, if a subcontractor is just not performing, terminate them. They're done. But in either case, if you terminate either or, you still have to replace them with somebody. And that's why I think you have to have a good flow of applicants and or subcontractors in your pipeline. Very important, because as long as we have opportunities to clean facilities, that we're putting out bids and we're doing proposals, well, that means that we're more than likely going to need people to clean them. So either it's going to be employees or it's going to be subcontractors. So, and as I always say, we should always be doing two things. We should always be marketing, and we should always be finding good applicants. So which one that you decide to use is fine, but each are going to require systems, and you want to develop them systems before you actually pull the trigger on it. And like I say, it doesn't matter if it's an employee or a subcontractor, you have to have some kind of hiring system in place to where you have checks and balances, and they have to qualify in order to get to the next level. And I also would probably recommend that you probably have primary subs and secondary subs, meaning that your primary subs are the ones that you're working with, that that do quality work and so on and so forth, and those are the ones that you're helping build their business. Then in the case that your primary subs are not able to do the job, well, now you got your secondary list over here to choose from. So I would recommend that. That works out very well. So, well, hopefully you found this helpful. And, if you go onto the 𝗔𝗕𝗎𝗓_store.com or myhouseCleanBiz.com, you'll find a lot more information on subcontracting. And, we got documents on it. We got non-competes. And that's something else I guess I should mention, is that when you do hire a subcontractor, you want to sign non-compete, non-disclosure agreements, because the last thing you want them to do is to start taking and stealing your clients away from you, and or talking about your clients, when they shouldn't be. But other than that, I think you'd be in pretty good shape. And like I say, we got a wealth of information on the Janitorial Store and My House Cleaning Biz on subcontracting. In fact, on the Janitorial Store, if you go there, we have subcontracting opportunities. So let's say you're a company that you're looking to subcontract for other companies, or you're looking for subcontractors. We can go there and you can fill out your profile on that on the map, and be able to attract these people. And in fact, you'll see that you will. When you look at profiles and read profiles, you can see exactly what they're on there for. If they're looking for subcontractors, or if they are a subcontractor. It's a great way to network and look and get people in your area. And we got the map that covers the entire United States and Canada. So go there and fill in your profile. Get listed, and I'm sure somebody will contact you. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you have, go ahead and click on that like and share button. And as usual, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, click on that subscribe button, because we got a wealth of videos over on our YouTube channel on how to build a successful cleaning company. And we're constantly putting out at least 1 to 2 per week, so on various topics. And so I think you'll find it very helpful. So again, thanks for checking in, and we'll see you next time.